grâce des âges, ne m'oublie pas. Reviens-moi vite, mais dis-moi que tu m'écriras.
Men against the snow. It's a fight every foot, every inch of the way. To most of us, a snowshoe hike means a picnic. To the men who seek their living in the frozen north, life on snowshoes is one unending struggle against unrelenting nature. It's a fight all the way, uphill, downhill, over snow-drifted hidden trails, sinews taut and every muscle strained. As with the men, so with the dogs. Their powerful shoulders pressed against the harness, they put every ounce of their weight into the task of getting the heavily laden toboggan over the seemingly insurmountable obstacles that beset the way. Stout-hearted as they are, there are times when they have to look to their masters for assistance, and it is as much as the combined efforts of man and beast can do to conquer the difficulties that abound on the trail, and to avoid the pitfalls with which nature has so liberally strewn the path. The best is demanded of the men who live amid the snows. Not only physical strength is needed, they must be quick to meet any emergency, to take every advantage, no matter how small, of what little latitude their grim opponent, nature, allows them. For this reason, the lightest dog is always in the lead, the heaviest and strongest dog next to the toboggan. The heaviest load is always on the last toboggan, so that it will have the benefit of a trail beaten by the leading teams. There are times when both men and dogs flounder in the deep snow, times when the tenderfoot would cry, "Enough!" But men against the trail know no turning back. They recognize no defeat. They know that they have to overcome all obstacles, however great, if they are to survive the battle with nature. Let us accompany Grey Owl on his trek to his empty cabin, so many moons empty, where two kitten beaver, McGinnis and McGinty, changed the life of a trapper into one of the world's greatest naturalists. When occasion demands and the going permits, the sourdough can attain amazing speeds on his clumsy-looking snowshoes. The prospect of a halt for brief refreshment lends wings to his feet. In the land of snows, hunger comes often. And always, at every stop, the snowshoes are examined for possible damage, and repairs made before the journey is resumed, for a man's life depends entirely upon his snowshoes. And no less care and attention is paid to the feet of the dogs. At times, snow freezes between the toes and splits the pad, causing the foot to become sore and tender. In such cases, a buckskin moccasin is tied to the foot. Holes are pierced in it to allow of the dog's claws being pulled through, as without their aid it would be impossible for him to get a grip on the frozen snow. Hard as the struggle is, there are compensations. Even the veteran, the man who has spent all his life in the frozen north, takes it easy going through the bush sometimes, lost in admiration of the beauty of the snow-clad pines, the gorgeous setting in which nature has placed him, the deep stillness of the everlasting forest. Such moments are, however, few and far between. The appearance of a creek causes him to concentrate all his efforts upon crossing it successfully, without spilling the load. Man and beast put forth one mighty effort, and the toboggans are safely across. Going is not quite so difficult once the bush has been traversed, and the sight of the treeless expanse of frozen river is indeed welcome. Night falls early in the far north, and a halt to build a camp has to be made in plenty of time before darkness sets in. There's a great deal of work to be done. The choosing of the best site, digging in the snow, which often lies 8 or 10 feet deep. But once the hole is dug, it is so warm and comfortable down there that the men can work without their mitts. Once again the ubiquitous snowshoe is to the fore, and in expert hands of the men makes the snow fly faster than any shovel. Trees have to be cut for fuel, and boughs for the beds of both man and dog. Comfort has to be worked for, and while the camp is being prepared, let us hear a short extract from Grey Owl's book, Tales of an Empty Cabin. He writes, "It is impossible, I think, to experience a sense of refreshment and utter relief equal to that which pervades the body and soul of a man when, after hauling a toboggan loaded with perhaps 100 pounds over a stretch of 15 miles or so on snowshoes in deep, soft snow, he sits upon the load to rest. The feeling of luxurious ease that then comes over him can be gained only by long hours of submission to heart-breaking toil such as this, when a few moments' rest means a temporary surcease from the steady, ceaseless, grinding pull of the tump line against aching hands and shoulders, a short respite from the drag of heavy snowshoes, and from the unremitting strain of balancing precariously in a snow-drifted, hidden trail, to step off which would mean becoming mired in a deadly sea of slush." And so you sit on your load for 5 minutes, say, regardless of the fact that you will find it very hard to start again, and that the underside or drawing surface of your toboggan is becoming frosted, causing it to draw so much the heavier, and you relax utterly, completely and absolutely, sitting in a beatitude of complete inanition, and an exquisite sense of well-being surges over you like a flood, while the whistling north wind, bitter and inimical enough at all other times, but now only soothing and refreshing as an iced drink in summer, laves your heated body in its cool embrace. When the camp is completed, and while the evening meal for the men is being prepared, bedding of brush is thrown down for the dogs, and their wants attended to before those of the humans. Each dog is fed but once a day, when camp is pitched for the night. Dogs the world over are always hungry, but few dogs earn their food as hardly as does the husky. Magnificent specimens of bone and brawn, they seem to share with our masters the knowledge that the North is no place for a weakling, be he human or canine. And they seem to know that this is indeed a country where the survival of the fittest is true in fact. Most of the dogs take intense pleasure in their work and are always eager to get into harness and feel the tug of the shoulder straps after a good night's rest. Now that man's greatest friend has been cared for, he can attend to the crying need for food that his own stomach demands. On the frontier, eating a meal is not a ceremonial affair, but an honest God shoveling in of fuel at a stopping place to enable the machinery of human and canine to complete its journey and its task. Epicurus himself could never have got the savor from his rare and exotic foods that the hardy pioneer does from his simple meal of bannock and bacon. The finest wines in all the world cannot give the glow of satisfaction that comes with the quaffing of boiling hot tea made in a tin can over a wood fire. And so the night falls, and with the fall of night commences the booming of nature's heavy artillery, the roar of the pines as forest splits wide gash in their trunks. The snow falling during the day becomes lodged in a crevice in the trees, and freezing at night acts as a giant wedge to enlarge the wound. But men and dogs sleep on, undisturbed by nature's cannon. Awakening from their cozy beds, the dogs are eager and anxious to get into harness and start another day's work. But today, there is no work for them. Grey Owl is going alone to his longed-for solitary cabin. He passes the sentinel of snow-clad pines and disappears into the soft white velvet of the fleecy bush. What must be the thoughts of this man as he approaches nearer and nearer to his lonely cabin? On arriving at his cabin, Grey Owl finds a message written on the birch bark in the picture writing of the Indian, the mysterious but highly efficient moccasin telegraph of the wilderness country. The message reads, "To Grey Owl, 3 men from the north, hurrying at full of moonlight, signal fire at sundown, meet at camp on Turtle Lake. We will be waiting." Into his mind there flashes a scene of meeting with his friends around the campfire, of seeing faces that he has not seen for so long. Pondering on the invitation from his friends, he prepares to build a fire for the night. And now, quite suddenly, the dingy, empty cabin that seemed to be so lonely and deserted is no longer empty. Amidst the whirl of smoke from his fire, Grey Owl sits in meditation as the past lives again in the changing embers. The shadows flicker, Grey Owl muses on, and so we leave him at peace.